My name is Amina Hassan. I am 32 years old. The event that changed my life forever happened on March 18, 2019. On that day, I was accused of abandoning Islam, dragged out in public, and later tied to a railway as punishment. I survived, but something inside me was permanently broken. I am an Iraqi woman, born and raised in a small city where religion controls daily life. From childhood, my identity was already decided for me. I was Muslim by birth, Muslim by culture, Muslim by fear. No one asked what I believed. Belief was not a choice, it was an order. I grew up in a strict family. My father was known in the community for his religious discipline. My mother lived quietly, obeying rules without questions. Education was allowed, but only within limits. I completed basic schooling and later studied primary education because teaching children was considered safe and acceptable for a woman. I loved learning, reading, and asking questions inside my mind, even when my mouth stayed silent. I married young. My husband was also deeply religious, but harsh and controlling. Over time, the marriage collapsed under violence and neglect. I became a single mother to one child, a son. My life then became about survival, earning little money, raising my child, and avoiding attention. As a woman alone, I already lived under suspicion. My way of life was simple. I dressed modestly, spoke carefully, and followed public religious practices to avoid trouble. Inside, however, my thoughts were changing. Exposure to books, quiet conversations, and personal reflection slowly opened my mind. I began to question teachings I was raised with. Fear followed every thought, because doubt itself was dangerous. What made my situation worse was that people around me began to notice changes. I prayed less in public. I avoided religious discussions. Someone close to me later revealed my doubts to others. That betrayal became the seed of my persecution. The community did not see me as a thinking human being. They saw me as a threat, a woman, a single mother, a supposed traitor to faith. Rumors spread fast. Religious leaders became involved. My family turned away in shame. Protection disappeared. On that March day in 2019, men came for me. I was treated as an example. They wanted fear to speak louder than mercy. What followed was humiliation, violence, and a punishment meant to erase me. The railway was chosen to make my death public and terrifying. This chapter is only the beginning. The silence I was born into would soon become a scream heard by many, but at a cost I never imagined. I did not wake up one day planning to be different. My doubts grew slowly, like cracks in a wall that had been standing for years. I remember sitting alone at night after my son fell asleep, staring at the ceiling and feeling heavy inside. I felt fear, confusion, and shame, all mixed together. I started noticing small changes around me. People watched me more closely. Women at the market stopped greeting me the same way. A neighbor once looked at me with sharp eyes and later showed others how I no longer joined certain prayers. I understood then that silence was no longer protecting me. One evening, a relative came to my home. His face was serious and his body language showed anger. He revealed to me that people were talking about my faith. He made it clear that my thoughts were no longer private. He showed me how dangerous my situation had become by warning me that religious leaders had my name. From that moment, my life changed. I began to live in constant fear. Every knock on the door made my heart race. Every sound outside made me think they had come for me. I avoided going out unless necessary. My son noticed my fear. He watched me jump at noises and hold him tighter than before. Soon, men from the community came to see me. They did not come with kindness. Their faces were hard. One of them showed me documents and symbols of authority. Another revealed that I was being accused of leaving Islam. They made me understand that questioning belief was seen as betrayal. They did not listen to explanations. They did not care about my life as a mother. They treated me like an object, not a human being. I felt small, powerless, and trapped. My words meant nothing. My tears changed nothing. After that visit, the persecution became open. People insulted me in public. Children were warned to stay away from my son. Someone showed me a message that described punishment for people like me. Fear became my daily companion. I slept in short moments, always alert. The worst pain was knowing that my child was watching everything. I felt guilt for bringing danger into his life. I felt shame placed on me by others. I felt anger, but I had nowhere to send it. This chapter of my life was not yet violent, but it was cruel. It was the slow killing of dignity. It was the moment doubt stopped being a thought and became a crime. And I knew, deep inside, that something far worse was coming. The day came without warning. I was at home with my son when loud voices filled the street. My body reacted before my mind did. My hands shook. My legs felt weak. I knew they had come for me. Men entered my space without respect. Their faces showed no mercy. One of them showed others where I stood, as if I were an object to be moved. Another revealed that the decision had already been made. I was not being taken to talk. I was being taken to be punished. They dragged me outside. Neighbors watched. Some looked away, some stared. No one stepped forward. I remember the ground hurting my feet and the sun burning my skin. My son cried and reached for me, but someone pulled him back. That moment hurt more than anything else. They took me to the railway on the edge of the town. The place was open and empty, chosen so others would see and learn fear. They tied my hands and legs tightly. The metal was cold. My body shook, not just from fear, but from shock. Someone showed the crowd that this was the price of disobedience. I lay there helpless. I could feel the stones under my back. I could hear people murmuring. I could smell dust and iron. Time slowed. My mind raced with images of my son growing up without me. I felt pain, shame, and deep sadness all at once. No one asked if I was a mother. No one cared that I was human. They treated me as an example, not a person. I understood then that persecution is not only about violence, it is about removing dignity while others watch. At some point, chaos broke out. People shouted, someone ran, others argued. I later understood that intervention came unexpectedly. Hands rushed to untie me. My body was weak, my vision blurred. I was alive, but barely holding on. When they finally moved me away from the railway, I felt empty. I was breathing, but I was not whole. The punishment did not end on that track. It followed me inside my mind. That day marked the line between who I was and who I would become. I survived the railway, but the memory stayed tied to me, just as tightly as the ropes once were. After the railway, I did not return to normal life. There was no normal anymore. My body healed slowly, but my mind stayed wounded. I woke up at night sweating and shaking. Every sound outside my home felt like danger returning. People avoided me openly now. Some crossed the street when they saw me. Others pointed quietly. I was marked. A woman showed her child how not to look at me. Another person revealed that my name had become a warning spoken in homes and gatherings. The persecution changed shape. It was no longer loud and public. It became quiet and cruel. I was refused work. I was denied help. Some shop owners acted like I did not exist. Others showed fear in their eyes, afraid that helping me would bring trouble to them. My son suffered the most. He came home from school confused and hurt. Other children treated him differently. One day, he showed me marks on his arm and revealed that he had been pushed and called names because of me. That moment broke me inside. I felt guilt heavier than pain. I thought about giving up many times. I felt tired. I felt hunted. But every time I looked at my child sleeping, I remembered why I had to stay alive. He was the reason my heart kept beating. He was my strength when I had none. I began to move carefully. I changed where I went. I avoided crowds. I trusted no one. I learned how persecution works slowly, like poison. It isolates you. It makes you feel small. It tries to convince you that you deserve the pain. There were days we had little food, nights when fear sat beside me like a shadow. I felt anger toward those who hurt me, but also sadness for a system that allowed it. I understood that my decision had cost me safety, dignity, and peace. Yet inside all that darkness, something grew stronger. I realized they could hurt my body, but they could not force my mind back into chains. My will to protect my child became my shield. This chapter of my life was about endurance, about surviving not just violence but rejection, about holding on when everything around me tried to push me away. I was still standing, not because life was kind, but because a mother's love refused to surrender. After everything I endured, I knew I could not remain where my life had been almost taken. Every street carried memories. Every face reminded me of pain. I lived like someone always being watched. Fear followed me even in daylight. I was shown a way out by someone who took a great risk. That person revealed safe steps, quiet movements, and moments when silence mattered more than words. Leaving was not easy. I had to abandon the place I was born, the home I knew, and the life I once tried to protect. The journey was hard. I carried my child through fear, hunger, and long nights. There were moments when I thought we would be discovered. I held my son close, feeling his heartbeat, reminding myself that survival was now my only duty. In a safer place, I finally felt what it meant to breathe without fear. But safety did not erase the past. The persecution lived inside me. Loud sounds made me jump. Crowds made me panic. My body was free, but my mind was still healing. I learned that persecution does not only break bones. It breaks trust. It breaks sleep. It breaks the feeling of being human. I lost friends, family, and a sense of belonging. I paid a heavy price for choosing conscience over fear. Yet I also found strength I never knew I had. I learned that faith, when chosen freely, is powerful. It gives courage where fear once ruled. It gives meaning to suffering. It gives light in dark places. Today, I share my story not for pity, but for understanding. Somewhere, right now, someone is hiding. Someone is being threatened. Someone is being punished for belief. Their pain is real. Their tears matter. I ask Christians across the world to remember the persecuted. Pray for those whose faith puts them in danger. Pray for mothers, children, and families facing violence because of belief. Do not forget them. For anyone who feels far from God and desires forgiveness and a new beginning, I encourage you to turn your heart toward Him. Acknowledge your sins. Believe in His mercy. Accept salvation through Jesus Christ, and choose to live a changed life guided by love and truth. My story ends here, but the prayer must continue for the persecuted, for the broken, for those still tied by fear, waiting for hope to arrive.